Hello and welcome back to the channel. And if you are new here, my name is Brittany. Welcome. And if you are listening on the podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a minute. I'm really excited to chat with you guys today. I feel like I have a lot to catch you up on. Don't mind my cat in the background if you're watching. She is getting so rambunctious. The new one, Mage, she just has zoomies 24/7 all the time. I'm like, are you ever tired? Do you ever need to take, well, do you know what? She like zoomies, then boom, she's out. And I'm like, she's like a literal baby. She's a literal baby. She's ripping around with my slippers right now. Anyways, my point with that is don't mind her if you just see her going just like across the screen. Now she's tearing down my ornaments. Thank you. Oh my God. That whole tree is just going to come crumbling down. I have my little sprayer that I spray. I need to spray her sometimes if she's getting into things she shouldn't be. The other day, just like a quick little story time. So if you watch my self-love series, Mage, no. If you watch my most recent self-love series where I decorated for Christmas, I bought a tree for my patio, just like a small little patio tree, and then a larger skinny tree for indoors. I got like a tall skinny one just because space-wise I didn't have room for like a full-size tree, so I got like a slim, a lean bean. Anyways, besides the point, I set it up. I'm so happy. It's so cute. And then I leave for my ayahuasca ceremony, which I'm going to talk a little bit about. Well, no, I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about one of the nights, and then the next video I'm going to talk about like the second night. But when I come back, so my youngest sister stayed to watch the cats for me, and I come back and my friend came over and I was so excited to show him my Christmas trees and like how I decorated for Christmas. I was like, oh, you're gonna love it. I'm so excited to show you. I love it so much. I was like, look. And I go to plug in the tree. The lights just don't go on. And I was like, oh my God. What's going on? I like unplug it and I like plug it in the other socket and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what's going on? I just bought this. I only got to like enjoy maybe 5 days of it before going away on the retreat. So I text my sister right away. I was like, why aren't the lights turning on? Like, what happened? And then before she even responds, I'm like looking and I noticed one of the wires completely just like cut through. I was like, Mage, she cut through the wire, didn't she? She cut through the wire. And I was so sad. My friend was able to fix it for me though. He had stuff in his truck and he's like, I'll be right back. And he fixed it. So it's fine. Easy fix. But just such a little rambunctious monster. Like, I love her though. I love it. And I love how cuddly she is. She sleeps right in bed with me up close and cozy. And it's super cute. But she's definitely like a crazy cat. So, and she just like jumps on me now out of nowhere. I'm just like cooking in the kitchen. And then all of a sudden, whoosh, she's like on my back. And I'm like, she just has no chill. So anyways, just a quick little story time before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode. I'm really excited to just catch you guys up. There's been a lot of shift and a lot of change for me. You've probably noticed that my videos have been coming out slower. There's a reason for that. I'm going to really be getting into that in the next episode. I had a really, really big life shift, just like my path shifted in a way unexpected. I got a lot of clarity on my path and I'm still processing it. It's a lot to process. That's going to be the next video though. That's kind of what came through to me after my second night of medicine. No, Mage. She's trying to bite my wires here. I literally feel like she's a baby. Like I'm always like needing to keep a close eye on her. So, okay, you could come and chill. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So that's going to be like the next episode out and I'm going to like talk about that just like really quick. Like I'm going to be pulling away a little bit from social media and I'm going to get into the reasons why. I'm going to talk about this life path shift and what I thought was my trajectory and how it changed in the most unexpected and like really big way. I'm in the process of like grieving right now, like grieving the old, what I thought would be, and I'm happy about it though. Like it's just a lot to process, and with that comes grief, you know, when a part of you dies, when a part of your identity dies. And yeah, it's really beautiful. It was really, really beautiful clarity that I received, but I'm saving that for the next video. But let's talk about the first night of medicine. So those of you who've been following me, you know that I've sat with the medicine a bit and I've talked about my experiences before, but I think I actually deleted quite a bit of those old videos just because I realized like what's most important is like the message that comes through. Mage, it's the message. It's not necessarily like the details of my experience. Mage. She's getting into my drum now. Anyways, so yeah, I just felt called to delete a few videos off my channel, and maybe you'll let me know in the comments if you want me to talk more about the journeys that I've had specifically, because I've learned a lot from the different journeys that I've had, and I'm open to talking about it. It's like no secret. So if you're interested, I definitely will be journeying more, which again, I'll explain more in the next video. You guys are probably like, Brittany, why are you talking about it so much if you're not going to be talking about it now? It's like, I will. It's all, they're all connected. But yeah, let me know if that's something you're interested in, and just more so talking about the teachings that I learned from the journeys, not necessarily, oh, this happened and this happened, if that makes sense, but I'll be explaining it through my experience. Anyways, so I went on a retreat back in September, mid to like late September. This was not a medicine retreat. Well, I did do combo there, which is not like a hallucinogenic, but that's the only medicine I did there. And it's also the retreat where I got like this bee tattoo, which I'll show. So I got that bee tattoo, and that tattoo was actually really, really divine. It was a channeled tattoo from a woman who I'll have her like Instagram here. She's so gifted, so talented. I just love her energy. It felt so sacred. She does ceremonial tattoos. I'll get into that in a moment, but I didn't really talk about this retreat that I went on mid to end of September. I don't really talk about the retreats that I go on all the time. Like, I don't necessarily think that I don't need to. And I actually didn't post anything about this retreat. So just disclaimer, like, don't go and try to look at what retreat I went to, because it really doesn't matter. That is not the point of this message, but it taught me a lot. This retreat is where I was sent, which made me see things, and I'm gonna try to explain it in a moment. But backtracking a little, I went to this retreat, and this retreat was held by two influencers. I don't know if influencers is the right word, but influencers, yeah, like people with a large following in the spiritual community. And I didn't really know much about them. I followed one of them in particular, and I know she's done a lot of like really good things in this world. I'm not Mage. I'm not, trying to talk poorly about either of them or anything like that. I'm sure both of them have done a lot of good. And it's funny because the weekend specifically of the retreat, I was planning on going to visit my friend who lives on the island, and I booked that time off, and she ended up being like, oh, I'm so sorry, like that weekend doesn't work for me, I'm gonna be out of town. So I was like, do you know what, no worries, like I already booked it off work, and in my own mind I was like, maybe I'm supposed to be somewhere else. And literally the next day I saw like the advertisement for this retreat, and it was that exact weekend I was planning on going to visit my friend. So I was like, oh my god, of course, like I am supposed to go somewhere else. And the ad, there was a song playing in the background, like, I am my mother's savage daughter, the one who runs barefoot, cursing sharp stones. And I was singing that song like crazy the week leading up to this retreat, and I just had full body chills. So I was like, oh my god, like I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to go on this retreat. And I didn't know why. I didn't really know much about either of the women who were hosting it, like at all. I was only following one of them I was following her for about a year, but I'm like, I'd see her here and there on my Instagram, but I really didn't know anything about her. I didn't even know what her actual name was. I only knew her by her like Instagram name. I went because I was called to go, period. And I remember like leading up to it, like, I wonder why I'm being called to go. Backtracking even more, like, if you know anything about my journey, like I've been traveling a lot, and I travel a lot not because I want to, but because I'm called to. And don't get me wrong, like it does excite me, but it's not like I'm going on these lavish trips. Like when I go and stay at Airbnbs, sometimes they're literal like shitholes, for lack of a better word. And I shouldn't say complete shitholes, that's, not true, but very small spaces. Some of them, like I remember when I was staying in San Diego, one in particular was like not lavish at all. It was like really nothing fancy. Like I was like the cheapest thing that I could afford, because I know that I was being called to these places. I was called on another retreat, earlier that year as well. And it costs a lot of money. I'm going though because I'm grateful that I make enough money to go on these retreats, but it's not like I'm going because I'm like, oh, 5-star hotel, this or that. I'm like, okay, I always say like I'm a servant of God. I go where I'm called, and there's always like a bigger reason behind it, whether I meet somebody like super significant or there's like a lesson or a teaching, and there's always purpose is my point. And often more than one purpose, like always more than one purpose. So I always just really deeply trust my intuition. And if you're interested, let me know in the comments. I could make a video specifically talking about kind of like my journey and where that's like taken me from like quitting teaching and like all the moving around that I've done. And just know that everyone's path's different. Anyways, my point with all of that, I went on this retreat not because I was like, oh, I'm looking for a retreat because I feel like I could go for a retreat. It was because I was called to go, and it was expensive. And I don't have a savings. I literally have $0 in my savings, which is like a whole other thing. I'll talk about that more in like my next video. But again, I'm a servant of God. Okay, I'm gonna go. Like I'm gonna go. That's where I'm being called. I'm gonna do it. So I go on this retreat, and I really like had no clue why I was called. And I was called for more than one reason. There is some beautiful woman that I met and connected with, like soul sisters, and I'm really, really grateful to have met them. Also, this tattoo I got there, which I know was another reason why I was called there, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Where actually the tattoo comes into place in the next video when I talk about the second night of medicine, but that was very divine. I also know that I was meant to get that tattoo specifically from that woman. But one of the really biggest reasons why I was called on that retreat was to learn what not to do when I host my own retreats. Because I know that I'm meant to host my own retreats, and I feel like that's going to be starting in 2025. Woo! Yeah, if you're interested, keep an eye out because I'll definitely be like announcing that when the time comes. April, May, June, within that time is kind of like when I think it'll happen, the first one. And it's going to be really small, like 8 people. Like it's going to be a small retreat. It's not about to be a big retreat. It's going to be intimate. It's going to be small. Woo! So me and Holly will be hosting that. And yeah, I'll give you more details when when we know the details. Anyways, I know that I'm being called to host retreats, and I knew that I got sent there. I realized that I got sent there to really learn what not to do. And I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty. This is not me trying to, make a video being like, oh, it was terrible. They did this wrong. They did that wrong. Like, because that's not what I'm about. And like I said, the hosts of the retreat, like I know that they are very powerful souls, and I know that they have done a lot of good, but I really saw what can happen when like people are really put on pedestals, how ugly it can get, how your ego really can crave and need that attention that's being given from other people. And there was just like a list of things that I saw that really like made me feel physically nauseous. Like I felt physically sick at points of this retreat, and just completely like, oh my God, like are other people not seeing this? And other people did see this. Actually, there were a few women that were also in utter shock at a couple things. And like I said, don't go try to figure out what retreat I went on. I didn't post about it at all, so I have no like trail of it. Please don't even look, because I just want like disclaimer, it's not about that. But I'm bringing this up because you need to be really careful, like who you trust when you go on retreats, when you get readings done with people. Like even if like I'm saying, oh, I'm going to host a retreat, if you feel weird about it, don't come. You know what I mean? Like trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust where you're called, and just be very, very mindful of that, because this retreat was very dark, and I have like full body chills now, like full body chills as I'm feeling into it. And I really, really saw that. And I felt really called to actually speak my truth and bring this forward to one of the leaders in particular. And I did. And I'm really proud of myself for doing this, because it takes a lot of courage. And genuinely, I wasn't even afraid. I was very much so at peace with it. I wanted to have a conversation with her in person, but it didn't happen. So I ended up sending her a really long message, and I tried to depict everything and explain everything through, message to the best of my ability. Like that's why I wanted to do it like in person, because I feel like you can really like see emotion, and it's just better in person. But it didn't happen. So I trust, everything happens for a reason. So I wrote out this message, and I tried to really explain myself and, send it in love, like genuinely in love. Like I'm not trying to like call you out here, but this is what I saw. And I felt really called, like I felt called to bring it forward to her. Spirit called me to bring it forward to her. And it's like, Spirit calls, you have free will. It's up to you to answer the call. And I did. And she actually called me back right away and was seemingly very receptive. And then fast forward, she ended up like not responding to one of my last messages, and I was like, do you know what, like, whatever, you know, like, it's fine. Like, I tried to like let it go. And I know that the other woman, she tried to like have a conversation with me about it too, but she messaged me like on Instagram, and I didn't know that she messaged me until like a month later, because if you know me, I don't check my Instagram messages. It's way too overwhelming for me. And if I were to, I would just be on my phone way too much. It's like, that's just kind of a boundary I set for myself. I just don't respond to really Instagram messages at all. I don't even look at them. It's like nothing personal. It's a boundary for myself. So she messaged me on Instagram, but I didn't notice it until like a month later, because I would have had a conversation with her if I had noticed she messaged me right away. But I got the message later that it was divine protection. Like, I wasn't meant to have a conversation with her. So I left it, but I know that I was like made out to be the villain. I was made out to be the villain. There was poor talk about me behind my back, like in front of the other women. And I was like, do you know what? Like, it's fine. I did what I was called to do. I brought forward, I saw the darkness and I brought it forward. I brought it to the light. And now it's like up to them to like be honest with themselves, to be reflective. And it's out of my hands at this point. And it did bother me for a bit, if I'm being honest, that, I didn't get a response from my last message, especially because she was seemingly very receptive. And I was so proud of her for being as receptive as she was. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to stop getting into like the details, but just like that little bit of backstory is important for this next piece here. Because when I got back from that retreat, like end of September-ish, I started getting so sick. Like, if you've been following me, I've been sick for like a month and a bit now, like so sick and repeatedly sick. I remember getting so sick, like I had needed to cancel a few of my readings. I had like body aches, like my tonsils were swollen, and you get sick once, whatever, not a big deal. And then like a week later, after getting better, I got hit with that like same sickness, like tonsils swollen, body aches. I was so fatigued, like I couldn't do anything. And I was frustrated at this point because like I just signed up for Pilates and I was excited about that. And there was just like so many things that I wanted to do, had in motion, that I couldn't do because I was sick. And then I finally was starting to feel better again, thankfully, like just on time for my birthday. So I was healthy enough for my birthday and for when Holly was here visiting. But as soon as she left, I got so sick again. But this time I was sick for like 2 weeks. Like I don't know if it, like I didn't go to the doctor or anything, but like I was like tempted to, because I was like wheezing in my chest, like a chest infection. I don't know exactly what it was, but I was so sick, like so sick. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because I don't ever really get sick. So to get sick this often in such a short period of time just doesn't make sense, especially because like I'm actually so balanced in my life recently, like so balanced in my life. I'm not overworking. I feel so grounded. And often, spirit will I know that I'll get sick if I'm overworking or something like that. And it's kind of like my body communicating with me, you need more rest, you need to slow down. But I've been listening. I've been slowing down. So I was just genuinely so confused and so frustrated. And then leading up to my ayahuasca, I was so sick. And I'm like, am I going to be okay? And luckily, I was still coughing, but I was good enough to travel and everything. And, I was wow, I literally just flipped to the page that I was going to read you guys. Anyways, I'm going to get to this in a moment. And I knew that ayahuasca is the medicine. Ayahuasca is the medicine. So I'm whatever's going on with me, I'm sure that ayahuasca will, show me so that I can get to the root of whatever is going on. And then after I got that really bad sickness, I thought I was finally getting better. And then I got vertigo so bad, vertigo. I'm in bed every morning for an hour, not being able to get out of bed. It was just so frustrating. So I was sick, and then vertigo hit me. It was literally one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. And if you watch my self-love series, it's you see me having a total meltdown about it. Anyways, leading up to this retreat, I pulled an oracle card for myself it's the energy oracle cards from Sandra and Taylor. And I just pulled it one morning. This was a couple days before going on my ayahuasca retreat. And I pull a card and the hostilities card comes out. And I'm just going to read it for you. It goes, and it's number 26, which is interesting. That's my birth date. Anyways, hostilities. This card shows a man raising his sword in readiness to do battle. When it comes upright, it reveals a situation where hostilities towards you are about to be or have already been engaged. The aggressive energy may be verbal or emotional, with someone in your environment being excessively critical, demanding, or hurtful. In a work or social situation, there may be backstabbing or out and out slander going on. This is different from the deceit card because the hostile energies are more apparent, more overt. In fact, you may have been living with them for some time. But whether this is new or old energy, now is the time to regain control. Allowing dishonoring treatment from others is an open invitation to the universe to send you more. It may feel risky, but you need to have the courage to stand up for yourself now and always. So that card came out and I was like, hostile energy, like what? Like what like I'm not aware of this, like what is this energy that you're talking about? Like, so I was like, maybe, I reshuffled the cards. Sometimes I do that. I'm like, that card didn't mean to come out, the human part of me. And I shuffle again, the card comes out a second time and I'm like, there's no fucking way. Like again, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna shuffle one more time, Spirit, and if it comes out again, then okay, like you really want that card to come out. So I like shuffled it good and I shuffled it up good. And literally, you guys, the card came out again. It came out 3 times in a row. And I remember like calling Holly. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like what? And I'm thinking like something in the future is going to happen because I'm like, my life is fine right now other than being so fucking sick. Like I'm good. So that was just on my mind. And that was like right before this retreat. And I'm like, is something hostile going to happen at the retreat? Which is so not the case at this specific retreat I go to. Like the people are, amazing. The leaders are in integrity. They're beautiful, amazing humans that, are just great. So anyways, fast forward to the first night of medicine. Okay. So this is just a little bit backstory for you guys so that you, get a little backstory. Now for the first night of medicine. So I've had some like hard journeys with ayahuasca, to say the least. So this journey, I take the first cup of medicine and I don't feel anything. So when they call the second cup of medicine, whenever I don't feel anything, I'm like, oh shit, Mother Ayahuasca is calling me to get the second cup of medicine. And normally when that happens, it's a harder journey. So I'm like, okay, it is what it is. I'm going to go for the second cup of medicine. I go for the second cup of medicine and nothing happens. Like literally, I'm just chilling. I'm cozy. I'm comfy. I'm feeling good in my body. I'm not journeying at all. And I was genuinely good with that. I was chill with that. I was happy with that. I was like, you know what? I've had some hard journeys before. If I'm not supposed to journey, genuinely, I was at peace with that. I was like cheering other people on, like not verbally, but like when other people were like throwing up and stuff, I'm like, yeah, like get that shit out, and I'm just like, they're cozy and comfy. And I knew the medicine was in my body. So even though I wasn't journeying, I was like, the medicine is doing its thing. And I was happy with that. And then with this specific group that I sit with, an hour left in ceremony. So ceremony is about like 4 to 5 hours, like depending on the night. With this specific group, I've sat with like another group before and it's way longer than that. But this group, it's like 4 to 5 hours. And with 1 hour left in ceremony, they start calling the light back in. So it's all like dark. And then with an hour left, they start like lighting candles and they start calling the light back in. And normally when they start calling the light back in, it's when people start coming back to their bodies. It's not as intense. It's like the chunk of the journey is probably over for you. You're like coming back, which that's not always the case. Like it's different every time. But for me, that's when the journey started. So I was like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, now I am like, now I was like, okay, like, it is what it is. So I just like surrender to it. And I start feeling like really nauseous, and then I start like, bleh. I go to throw up and I completely like yak, but no throw up comes out. Like it's just completely like, bleh. And I did that a few times and I just got the message of like, you are energetically throwing up. I was like throwing up energetically, and I got the message of, we are ridding you of energetic parasites. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, yeah, like get it the fuck out of me. So it was like super uncomfortable, but it's fine. Like I've had way harder journeys with Aya before. So I was like, that's cool. Like get it out of me. Like, yes, get these whatever this parasitic energy is. Like I don't want it. Then I was getting visions of the 2 women from the retreat. And all the light bells like went on. Like and I have like full body chills as I'm feeling back into this. And then I was getting visions of the hostilities card that I pulled. And I got the message of like these 2 women, like I triggered them. I triggered them by bringing the light to the darkness I saw. And it's hard, right? Like I've been in the place before where I've been like in the dark and I've had people bring things to me, and it's really fucking hard to be honest with yourself, to show that humility, because it takes humility and it takes honesty to reflect and really ask yourself the hard question, like, am I wrong here? Like, is there something skewing my perception here? Because I was getting the message that there is this, deceitful energy within their own minds that's skewing their perception. Go watch my demon video. I talk about this before. Like, I had this inner demon that was skewing my perception, that was making me believe things that weren't actually rooted in truth, and that was feeding my ego, and I was unaware of it. I was completely unaware of it, so I get it. Again, I made a whole video about it. Go watch my demon video. It's nothing to fear, but it will skew your perception, and it doesn't matter how like spiritual you are, like this stuff. Anyways, go watch my demon video. I'm not going to get like into the nitty-gritty of that, but my point with that is this is not me trying to talk bad about them. I'm just saying I get it. I understand it. I've been there. But the message that they were showing me is this is what they're battling right now. They have some inner demons, and it's skewing their perception. And as a result of that, it's like they're in the dark. And me bringing the light to the dark, like bringing this forward to one of the women in particular, this was such a huge opportunity for her to really reflect and like step into the light. But I got the message that she's not quite there. And I truly have faith that they'll get there. But the other woman, and yeah, anyways, not trying to like point, I'm not trying to point the finger, because like I get it, I've been there. But basically what Mother Aya was showing me is like, you brought this forward to them, but as a result of that, like you triggered the fuck out of them. And not that they're doing this intentionally, but sending me this hostile energy, like this backstabbing energy. As I said before, like there was I know that there was some like bad talk about me through another woman who I actually, soul sister, like I love her. She brought this to me. So I knew that there was like bad, talking bad about me in front of other people. And so they were sending hostile energy my way. And because I was like unaware of the implications of that, basically these energetic parasites like took to me, which is why I was so fucking sick. It was literally impacting me on a physical level, because my sickness started soon after coming back from that retreat. And I was literally just like, oh my fucking shit. And then I was getting visions of like this dog. So before going to ceremony, my friend and I, we went walking and we saw these like dogs with these like porcupine stuff like sticking out of them. I don't know what it's called, but it's basically like to protect dogs from like, other animals. And they were small little dogs, right? So to protect them maybe from bigger dogs. And Spirit was showing me that like you need to have better boundaries for yourself. You need to have better boundaries. You need to be aware of how energy can impact you in this way, especially if you are in situations where you are triggering people, and like in a loving way. Like I was never like pointing the finger, but like even if you're like, standing in your truth, being the light, the brighter you shine, it's like the more you are seen, the more darkness sees you, the more, you know what I mean? So it's like this dark energy leached to me, and it was sent to me from them. Again, they did not do this purposefully. It wasn't on purpose, but as a result of me triggering them talking bad about me, they didn't like it, and their lack of their ability to show humility. It's like they sent this like nasty energy to me, and it was making me physically sick. And it was like one thing after the next thing, after the next thing, after the next thing. Like literally I was sick 3 times really bad. And then the 4th time was like just this vertigo. So I was just like, holy fucking shit. And Mother Aya, being the medicine, got rid of this like these energetic parasites. And now that I'm in the awareness, because it's like, Brittany, how do you, protect yourself if you're not aware? It's just being more aware. And it's like, now that I'm aware of it, it's like I can call my power back. So one of the women in particular, I actually unfollowed her on Instagram. Not that I'm trying to create drama, but I thought the one that I talked to who was seemingly receptive of it, I was shown that it's kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing. And I had like one of my mentors actually did a reading for me a bit ago, and one of the messages that came through, she did a psychic reading for me, and she doesn't know any of this. Like, she doesn't even know that I was about to go on this retreat or anything, but one of the messages that came through was, be mindful of who's seemingly all love and light. Be mindful of who's seemingly all love and light. It was like she was like giving me a warning from spirit. Like, don't trust everybody. Be mindful. Because yeah, there was like that message coming through. So they were showing me like her, like the one who did the reading for me, like they warned me. Oh, and I have chills like talking about it right now. So the one who I thought was receptive, this is the one that I was like following for a while now. Like, I didn't unfollow her or anything because I was like, wow, she was so receptive. Like, I honor her for that. And I'm realizing like, oh, like she was seemingly receptive, but not really, if that makes sense. And so I needed to call my power back. And that's like another message I got. So many people who have like a lot of followers and stuff like that, it's like so many other people who follow them like give their power away to them. It's like they are no more powerful than you. We all have this power within, and it's so important not to give your power away to these people. So I unfollowed her, just, you know, and hey, like maybe we'll cross paths again down the line. Like, genuinely, I hold no resentment. Like, genuinely, I don't. But I needed to call my power back in. And I'm like, do you know what? It's okay that she never responded to me. I understand. I understand where they're at now. I understand that they're not able to see it yet because there's something skewing their perception. And I know their soul is fucking fighting. And I know their soul is fucking fighting. And I know both of them are so... I know both of them have such powerful souls. I know both of them do. So I'm really not trying to talk poorly about them because genuinely I get it. And at the very end, I like actually puked, like an actual puke came out. And I went to the bathroom to like dump my puke. And just this wave of compassion like fell over me. Like this wave of compassion. I got so emotional. And I was like, and I was just getting this message of like, rise above, you rise above. And I genuinely just felt sorry for them. I said a prayer for them. I dumped it down the toilet. I said a prayer for them, and I was like just out of my energy field. Like, you are out of my energy field. And I was just getting the message of you rise above, you rise above. So yeah, my point, that was just like crazy to me because I didn't realize how much, you know, energy being sent your way can affect you. So that was like a learning curve for me because I'm learning, you know, as we're all learning, as I've been through my journey, you know, as I've developed my mediumship, there was a while where I was like, oh, there's no such thing as dark energy, like da 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 da. And I'm realizing like there is, you know, when you connect with human spirits, it's not necessarily like evil spirits. It's safe because when you pass over and cross over, your soul is love at the end of the day. So when you're doing mediumship and connecting to past loved ones in spirit, it is all love because the ego's gone. You're communicating with past souls that are back to love, and so it is safe in that regard. But there are other nasty energies that aren't necessarily like human energies. You know what I'm saying? It's like energies that we create here as humans, energies that can be sent your way, like this parasitic energy that leached onto me, that literally was affecting me physically. Like, I was so sick. Anyways. And it's 3:37 right now, which is my number. You guys know, if you know. But, and Maige is here like sleeping now. She's like running around like a monster before. Now she's just like on my lap. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I just want to make it like very clear. This is not me trying to talk poorly about these two women. So this is why I'm like, don't even bother trying to go and look them up to figure out what retreat it is. Like, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. They are powerful souls. I know their souls are fucking fighting. Their ego is in the way right now, and they're unaware of it. You know, they're unaware of it. So genuinely, it just makes me feel sorry for them. And, you know, Mother Aya really helped me see that. She helped me understand it. She helped me purge this like parasitic energy. She helped, you know, show me, you know, like compassion, having compassion for them. And I'm just grateful that I cleared it from my system because that had me down and out. It had me down and fucking out. But I genuinely hold no resentment. Like, genuinely, I don't. So like the unfollowing and stuff like that was just for my sake to call my power back. Like, I need to call my power back. And I wanted to make this video just for you guys to be mindful. Be mindful of energies being sent your way. Don't be afraid. It's nothing to fear. Your power lies in your ability to see in the dark. If you are aware of it, if you can see it, it has no power over you. Because I didn't realize that energy can really affect you in that way, lack of awareness. So now that I'm aware, it's like those spikes that I was seeing. It's like having those boundaries for myself all the time. And also just being very mindful of who you listen and follow online. Like, just because we have large followings, it doesn't mean you need to resonate with everything we're saying. It doesn't mean you need to listen to everything that I say. We don't know everything. Like I just said now, like I'm still learning, and just like all of these other people are, they're still learning. It doesn't mean that they're not doing good though. Again, like these other women, I know that they've done good things, but it can be dangerous sometimes when we give our power away to these people and there's still wounds that they're unaware of. If they're not actively looking at their shadow, it can turn really ugly. And I saw that at the retreat. I was getting the message of, this is the seedlings of a cult. Not that they're trying to start a cult, because whoever tries to start a cult, it doesn't start that way. You know what I'm saying? But you need to be so careful of who you trust, who you give your power to. Just because somebody is seemingly all love and light, it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Be so mindful. Trust yourself, trust your gut, trust your intuition, trust that feeling within always over anything, and don't question it. You don't need to like talk poorly about these people or whatever, but if something feels off to you, walk away from it, trust it. And I just really want to emphasize that. I really, really, really want to emphasize that, because more and more people now in the spiritual community are hosting their own retreats, or they're selling their programs, or they're doing this and they're doing that. And I'm sure a lot of them mean well. I'm not saying that they don't, but if there are wounds that they're unaware of, it can turn very dark, and it'll skew their perception so that they're not aware of it themselves. So I'm really not trying to blame anybody, but it's just, you got to be so mindful. And if you are a leader, if you're listening to this and you have a platform of any kind, please make sure you are doing the work always, because there is always more work to do. No, you do not need to be perfect. You do not need to be perfect to share your voice, to share your truth, but it is so important to be mindful and to always be doing the work and to show humility. It's okay to be wrong. I've been wrong before. It's okay to be wrong. I always ask, help me stay in the heart space. Help me stay rooted in love. Help me stay rooted in truth. Help me, because I am human and I know I have the ego and I know how deceptive it can be. And it's there to protect you at the end of the day. So I'm not telling you to be afraid of the ego. It's your friend and it's there to protect you. But it's so important to be mindful, to be so mindful of it, because if you do have a large platform and there is going back to my demon video, for example, it's like these entities within us, it grows more and more and more, and it could get a hold of your mind more and more and more. And if you're unaware of it, you can actually perpetuate a lot more harm than good, especially if you have a large following. Whew, I'm going off. So yeah. Again, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not trying to point the finger. I'm just sharing this experience for you to be mindful, whether you follow people with a large followings, whether you have a large following, if maybe you've been getting the message, because I know a lot of people who watch my channel are meant to be seen. You are meant to be heard. I know that you are leaders. I know some of you are going to acquire large followings. I already know that, because I've been getting the message that a lot of who I speak to are the up and coming people who are going to be seen. And I know that, and it's exciting, and it's nothing, there's no shame in being excited about it, but it is a big responsibility. Always ask for help and show up authentically, show up showing humility as well, and speaking as though it's kind of like, you don't want to speak as though this is the truth and this is the only truth. You want to speak with like, look, this is what I've learned based on my experience. See how it feels for you in your body. If you don't resonate with it, that's okay. So yeah, if you're listening to this, it's just so important to be mindful of, because I know a lot of you listening to this are like rising stars, for lack of a better word, and you're meant to be seen, and I know that. And that's something that this kind of segues me into my next video, because my life path completely changed. I know that I'm not actually going to really be seen. My platform, I shouldn't say that, like I do have platforms already and whatnot, but like I know that that's kind of coming to an end of the road for me. A lot of the work I'm going to be doing moving forward is behind the scenes. Yeah, I'm still going to have my platform and stuff, but I'm not saying I'm going to completely pull away from it. But anyways, my point with that is I know that a lot of you guys watching this are really meant to be seen. And I know that my messages are meant for a lot of you guys. Yeah, 4444. Woo! And it's 3:44. Just confirmation. It was just 4444 on my like voice recording. Anyways, so it's nothing to fear. Just I know I'm meant to share these experiences for you guys to learn, and and you might all know this already. I'm not saying that you just learned something because of me. That's not what I'm saying either. Like we all can learn from each other. But I just felt really called to share that. But I just wanted to share my experience, how it's important to have those boundaries for yourself, and how also, like on the flip side of it, if you do feel like you're meant to be a leader, how important it is to be rooted and grounded in the heart space and to ask for help and to show humility and to always be questioning yourself, always. Because otherwise it can turn and will turn very dark and ugly. And I saw that firsthand. So with that, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. I'm sending you so much love. And until next time, bye.